Happy Monday, and welcome here to another edition of Husker Online Headlines. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, back from the weekend. I had a good weekend, Mr. Sip. I was in Wichita, saw some of our good friends, Dan Dillon and Dale and the crew down there.
What were you doing in Wichita?
Well, I was the speaker at their annual picnic event, and they every year that group they do $4,000 in scholarships to high school students that attend Nebraska in that area. So like that's kind of their main mission. And the picnic event, which it's an indoor play.
It's not a traditional picnic with picnic tables.
It was about 100 degrees down there. So I'm glad it wasn't.
All right.
But I think at one time it used to be.
Yeah.
But yes, we had a great crowd. About 80 people.
Good.
Came out and
down to Wichita you go.
And I was at Bellevue Knights of Columbus on Friday. And they had about 300 at their fundraiser event. So lots of great Husker fans this weekend.
Yeah, I didn't have any appearances. I did a lot of cleanup from the storm. Lincoln had a storm, for those that don't know.
No, man, it was. Yeah. I woke up obviously Saturday morning when that thing came in, like everybody else, and it was scary. The force of that wind.
Yeah, 90 miles an hour.
I
didn't even hear it. It's so weird. I was sleeping so hard. And I woke up and my neighbor had sent me not my neighbor, he's like 6 blocks away, Greg. 6 blocks? Probably more than that, a little bit more than that. And he sent me a video of all this, like all these limbs and stuff down, and it looked horrible. And I'm like, his neighborhood got hit. Then I was like, wait a second. He's like 6 or 7 blocks away from me. And then I looked out and I'm like, oh boy, I have this park bench in the front yard, like blew out toward the street, like a big metal bench. Yeah. Then I was like, okay, it's real.
I was always thankful. Our trampoline, I buy the stakes that you keep them staked in.
Yeah.
If you didn't have those,
off it goes.
Your trampoline.
Yeah, then it could hit somebody's house or something. Maybe I'm overreacting. But anyway,
let's talk crazy ball, weekend. Let's get back into it. Huskers had their second scrimmage. Before we get into that, I want to remind our listeners again, August 20th, Zipline Tap and Grill in Fallbrook is the Husker Online preseason show. And if you were at this show last year, it was the one where we had several hundred people in attendance. And we were at the Village Gardens location for Zipline on 56 and Pine Lake. This has more space. So I'm excited for this show because we've done one there before, and the space and the setup. We've actually done 2 there, I think, now in Fallbrook.
One for sure. I think one.
Just one. It was just one.
Yeah.
But I think the setup there is going to be outstanding. Great drink sale prices, food specials, and prizes.
It's a beautiful patio. It's a great setup.
Along with Harley rides.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna pop some wheelies with people on the back, so it'll be fun.
Nice T-shirt, by the way. The American Worker Brunt T-shirt.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, well, let's get into the show. Headline number 1 as we move through fall camp, 17 days from kickoff. The offense shines in the first scrimmage, and we don't get to see these scrimmages. In fact, Saturday's scrimmage, from our knowledge, was basically locked down to everybody, even players' parents. I don't know about former. Did you speak to anybody that was able to even get in there?
No.
So I mean, it was locked down.
Yeah,
at a high level.
Yeah, Rhule. So there wasn't. We didn't get the traditional. There was 120 plays. He did kind of leak out. He just said it in passing about Dylan. Dylan wanted to go more plays, and Rhule stopped the offense. I assume it was the first team offense at 41 plays. Dylan Rhule wanted to keep going. Excuse me. Matt Rhule said, "I thought we were really, 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 really efficient on offense." So the offense had a good day, running the ball and throwing the ball.
And again, I don't think we're surprised by the advantages they have at quarterback and the offensive line and the receivers.
There's another advantage now, and that's year-round practice, basically.
And Dana Holgerson.
Yeah, the offense practices. I mean, it can line up and run plays. Can't do that on defense. How do you do that on defense? You can line up, but how do you run a play with no offense?
What was your take, too, on Rhule commenting on the tackling?
Well, I just think that's I think a lot of coaches are probably singing that tune all over the country because they just haven't had much time to get in full pads. They haven't had a lot of chances to tackle to the ground. Now, late in camp, that'll be a focus. I just think my guess would be you hear that from coaches all over the country.
And when you can't actually hit the quarterback and you almost de-accelerate when you get close to the quarterback.
He said that, yeah.
The offense has a major advantage in these deals.
Yeah, and it's Dylan, and he said to stop a guy like Dylan Raiola, you're going to have to get to the quarterback and affect the quarterback. But when there's probably a lot of plays where guys are blitzing and they have to pull up. So, you'll probably look back on the film and say that completion, he probably would have got smacked, or affected.
And the referees let it kind of go longer in those situations too, where in a real game, you might be done. The play might be over. So you have to kind of take it all with a grain of salt, but I think it is a positive report.
Yeah, it was.
Of where this offense is at.
That was definitely a positive report on Dylan. He said that he's been really good all camp. Nice.
And they're very high on these running backs.
Seems like it.
In fact, that's going to be one of our next headlines. So I don't want to hijack our conversation. But this week, the team will obviously come back with another scrimmage, and that will be big on Saturday this week. And that's really it. I mean, it's hard to believe as we sit here today, 17 days from kickoff.
Yeah, and Rhule said basically on Saturday they were 5 days away from the end of camp and 9 practices till the game. So 5 practices
plus
left.
Scrimmage.
I'm sorry. Yeah. 5 practices left in camp. However you define camp, and then 9 practices until the game.
Because I do think,
or till game week.
This week they'll go 6 days in a row, but like one of those days they kind of take off, and then they lighten the load. And it's more walk through. They don't bang their head 6 straight days in a row necessarily. I mean, I know this last week the team went to Wilderness Ridge Pool and won it. They always do that every year where they take the kids to the pool or do something kind of fun to kind of get their mind. We saw Matt Rhule hosted a group of guys at his house.
Nice pool.
Yeah.
Nice layout.
We need to do our show from that pool deck.
Rhule's not going to want us out at his house. Trust me. It'll be kind of odd, right? Right. I don't, Sean. There wasn't. I mean, I don't know you can't really size up position type battles.
The tackle battles continuing to be a big topic of discussion. And I think Pritchett is kind of the X factor. If he could win a job, then what do you do with Gatula? Is Gatula better than Teddy Prohaska?
Or Tyler Knack. But yeah, if Pritchett does win left outright, then what?
Like, what's the play at the right tackle?
I still think Teddy wins that job. Now Gunner would have a great chance, obviously, and Knack is not out of that competition by any means. In fact, what Rhule said was this scrimmage was like the first assessment. He said this was like the midterm. He said next week's scrimmage is almost like your final, and then you go from there. But he said both Pritchett and Gunner are doing a really nice job. So you'd have to watch it. I'm not going to go down that road of saying I wish we could watch these. I do, but
they're going to keep. I think they're going to keep that close to the vest, and I predict that even what they decide, there'll be a quick hook if a guy struggles in a game.
You think so?
I think if somebody is noticeably struggling, they will put somebody else in. I think they have that luxury, at least today, to have another guy that can play.
It's a tricky conversation.
If it's that close, though, you might have to do it.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying it's a tricky conversation because of the confidence factor. Would you be inclined, maybe, especially if it was Pritchett, well, not especially if it's anybody, just anybody, to let him work through it instead of just a quick hook? Because then what happens?
Maybe not a quick hook, but just like a design substitution. Like, hey, you're going to play the first 3, and then we're going to play him on the next 1.
Could be.
I mean, you could do something set in stone just to kind of see where it goes.
I love these football philosophical discussions. Here's why. because I don't like that idea. I want to win. I want
one guy.
I want a guy. I don't want to schedule up a rotation. I want a dude.
Remember, there was like this.
You see what I'm saying?
Nebraska fans thought that Nebraska needed to rotate linemen, and then it was a confusing thing. Isn't they never even in the 90s? The only reason they played a lot of guys is because they blew people out.
Yeah, Milt Tenneper. If people don't believe us, I wrote stories about Milt saying we didn't rotate.
There might have been like one swing guy that would play.
There you go.
But that was it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like platoon football.
No. That's why, again, I like these conversations a lot because I don't like the idea of a scheduled guy coming in for the 4 series. I hate that. I never liked that
saying, if you have 2, you have none.
Kind of that, but also what if that guy, the first string guy's playing well? And then you got to go to him and say, hey, you're really playing well, but we have this schedule that we made, so we're going to take you out. No, I mean, I'm not doing that.
The good thing now, too, is you don't have to worry about players getting mad and like quitting in the season and going right in the portal.
No, you don't.
Because you can't enter the portal. There was a time. I mean,
and there's a contractual obligation, correct?
Yeah, you lose your money. But think about like Greg Bell. He got mad. Like when Divino,
I don't want to think about Greg Bell, but go ahead.
When Divino Zigbo kind of took over in the 2018 season.
And what did he do?
He didn't get on the plane to go to Madison.
That's right. You broke that story because we were in the airport when it happened. And Greg Bell ended up a good back in San Diego State or San Diego won the San Diego State.
I think he admittedly realized he did make a mistake leaving. It was just kind of an emotional, but that was that era where you could just leave. And then he found a loophole where he was going to try to go to Oregon State.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because of the quarter system deal.
Yeah.
And they had only played 4 games at Nebraska. So like there was all this. Yeah, but you can't do that anymore. So as a coach, you don't have to worry about, if I don't do this right, this guy might just go in the portal next week.
Rhule on real quick. I know we got to move to the next headline. What if you listen to he talked to the media for 30 minutes after the game. So there was a lot of information, including about the Jack linebacker spot, which I found to be, he answered a question to me and you have. What if Deshaun McCullough and McGahee are playing well? He said, well, we can have 2 guys on the same, we can have 2 of those Jacks on the field at once. McGahee, McCullough. They love Ochoa, Jordan Ochoa. They like Ochoa. They do. He's a Jack, by the way. Dylan Rogers, Jack, didn't know it. Had no idea. I thought Dylan Rogers was an inside guy.
Yeah, Vincent Shavers is an inside guy, but has Jack qualities to him.
Okay,
like he can rush the passer.
But Rogers is playing Jack. So he said he's coming on. Rhule was full of information. He was full of information on that day.
Yeah, I can't imagine too many head coaches on Saturday this weekend gave 30-minute deals.
I mean, if you really pinned it down, you could write 4 or 5 good stories out of that session. You could. I don't know what I'll do I got to write for Tuesday. This is Monday. I was thinking about writing what he said about the quarterbacks, but I don't know. I'll talk to you about that.
All right. Well, let's get into headline 2. Before we do that, we're brought to you here on HuskerOnline Headlines by Crani-Yum Energy Drink. And that's what we're both drinking right now.
We always need them.
And Crani-Yum is a nootropic energy drink founded by 2 lifelong Nebraskans and Husker fans. And it's based in Fremont. It is sugar-free, moderate caffeine content, helps your mental clarity, no sugar, no artificial colors or flavors. It's a more functional beverage than your traditional energy drink. You can find it at most Hy-Vee Health Markets in eastern Nebraska and Council Bluffs, as well as independent retailers such as supplement stores. We've got a great deal with Crani-Yum and HuskerOnline. Go to their website. That's drinkcrani-yum.com. That's Y-U-M at the end of that. Use HuskerOnline as a promo code, and you'll get 10% off. And look, I was up till midnight working last night.
Were you really?
I had to leave Wichita at 6 something in the morning, get to Carly's basketball tryout, and then she had volleyball on the same day. Then I had to go home and write. I cooked, I wrote. So needless to say, I needed a Crani-Yum.
Yeah, you better get some sleep tonight.
I will. The girls are in Gretna for the next few nights. So
good. Good.
because they have one more full week
Yeah.
before school starts.
Yeah.
So anyway, Crani-Yum, promo code HuskerOnline. Let's take it to headline 2. Rhule bullish on his running backs room. And I think he looked right at you when he said that.
I've definitely expressed some reservations about that room, and
just some question. I mean, like natural question. They don't have a guy that's been 1,000-yard back.
Yeah.
And they only have one back really that's played on this roster. So, I mean, anybody that's in our role should at least like bring that up.
And he said so Rhule, he's really interesting. He said there's a misconception out there. We've got great backs. He said if there's anybody who doesn't think we have have 3 great backs, he said if there's anybody who doesn't think we have 3 great backs, then I can't wait for them to see these guys. Now he did add, look, they're doing it in practice. They need to do it in games. So he's talking about Emmett Johnson. And I think number 2 would be
Nelson.
Yeah, Mekhi Nelson. Number 3 would be Isaiah Mosey.
Mekhi Nelson, he said, had some of the quickest like first steps.
Hold on.
The burst out of his steps.
Yeah. Just give me a second here.
And then obviously Mosey was very complimentary about what he's brought to the table. I mean, even without Quentin Ives, who essentially was injured the first day, I still think that it could have ended up being these 3 guys.
Yeah, I think so too. He said about Mekhi, I'm sorry, going back to that, Sean. He said Mekhi might be one of this Rhule really pumps up his players. We can get to that in a second. He said Mekhi might be one of the fastest guys I've ever seen going the first 5 steps. Now, he coached, I think he had McCaffrey at some point, didn't he? Right? Did he have McCaffrey?
Yeah, he coached in Carolina.
I mean, now he said one of the, he didn't say the. So he said Mekhi might be one of the fastest guys I've ever seen going the first 5 steps. But yeah. Now
you gotta love fall camp hype though.
How you do?
Nick Baugh, I was listening to his podcast and he had me rolling because him and Bo Rude do their deal, and they were talking about Luke Lindenmeyer referred to Nebraska as tight end. I said, Nick, that is hilarious. I mean, like, because I mean, it's just straight Kool-Aid,
right? Like,
there's no like any kind of metric that would say Nebraska's tight end.
No, good God, not that it's been bad, but my God,
I'd like to say we're tight end.
Oh yeah, I made a mistake one time, like referring to Nebraska as running back U, or it was once running back U. And our friend, another good friend of ours in the media, Michael Severe, said simple: Southern Cal has always been running back U. Okay, and he's right. But anyway, what Rhule does is interesting. I don't know. This is my take on it. He pumps his guys up because they hear so much negativity, Sean. Social media is just, as you know, it's just rough. It's rough waters, right? And we've talked about this. It does have an impact on players. They are affected by it. They were affected by it when Rhule said his NFL guys were affected by it. So,
well, he's even said the Pro Football Focus grades, because before PFF existed, there was really no way to know
a metric
other than just your eyeballs.
Yeah, so they're grading left tackles now, or guards.
And when you log every snap and can log like the times you get beat and this and that, and then they put a grade by it. Mm-hmm. Don't tell me that doesn't get to a guy.
Causes stress.
Like if somebody graded your columns,
right,
and graded them poorly,
right,
you'd take it personally.
Great way to look at it. That's a good way to look at it.
And I do that to you sometimes.
No, that's a good way to look at it. And it does cause stress. So what I think Matt does a lot is he works as his kind of the program's counterbalance. He balances out the discussion a little bit. I think that's what he does. And if that's what he does, I think it's okay to a point. You know, you don't want to overdo it, but he pumps those kids full of confidence, or at least tries to. That's my read on it. And to balance out those discussions, I think it makes sense.
All right. Well,
am I wrong?
Oh no, I think he does a good job of kind of addressing, and Matt Rhule is a very aware coach,
savvy.
Like he has his ear on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows what's going on.
He can do that too, because he's not a play calling coach, and I like that. That's the way if I was an AD, I would not want my coach calling plays, and that's one reason right there.
All right, before we take it to headline number 3, HuskerOnline headlines brought to you by Billings Group. They're a trio of financial advisors made up of Lance and his 2 sons-in-law, Josh and Nate. They're based in Salina, which I drove right through there over the weekend. They help clients across the Midwest and beyond to make smart, confident decisions about their money. From your first real paycheck to your final retirement party, Billings Group is here to walk you through the highs and the lows. Billings Group, financial advisors by your side for life's journey. Visit them at billingsgroup.com. Securities offered by registered representatives through Client Private Services, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives through RFG Advisory, registered investment advisor. RFG Advisory, Billings Group, and Private Client Services are unaffiliated entities. All right, let's take it to number 3 now. Archie Wilson wows the head coach.
Jeez.
And it is rare to hear Matt Rhule speak about not just a player, but a newcomer that's really only practiced now at Nebraska for 2 weeks at the level that he's talked about Archie Wilson. But I think it's a snapshot about what we might see in Arrowhead Stadium 17 days from now.
Yeah, I think there's a couple parts to this discussion. I think Rhule just genuinely enjoys this from a entertainment part, from an entertainment aspect, that we have this. Nebraska now has this sort of, I don't know, it's novel for Nebraska. It's obviously novel for Rhule to have a guy that can roll to his left, punt with his left foot, roll to his right, punt with his right. He can punt conventionally. I saw him in that practice. I mentioned it the other day. It did mesmerize me a little bit when he rolled to his left and punted back across the field. So like diagonal. And then it got down at the 9. I think it got down inside the 10. So yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Well, the way like he can just kind of drop, he almost does like a drop style where he drops and when you play Australian rules football, you do that a lot. You're running around with the ball and you're kicking it on the run.
Uh-huh.
And it's a natural movement.
Yeah, it is. And who was it? Was it just one of the players said that it's like he plays catch with his feet?
Yeah, it reminded me of those Tiger Woods golf commercials where he would take the golf club and just kind of bounce, and then smoke the golf ball off the bounce. Like, I feel like that's Archie Wilson. He could just like bounce the ball off his foot, then just wing it up and kick it.
Probably just says crazy things with it because he can. And what Rhule says is his favorite period of practice is the punting part right now. He said, now I'm just out there with popcorn because it's really fun for me to watch. He said, I used to walk over to the O-line during the pump period and kind of stand to the side. Rhule's really enjoying it. I don't think he'd be enjoying it if it wasn't going well. So it must be going well, right?
And that was a big, let's go back to the spring. That was a big time decision to admit that you picked the wrong punter, McAllister. And you move on him.
Please elaborate. Now
Jack McAllister, who was a starting punter at Washington, who on paper, looked like a great plug and play addition, but they realized in the spring it wasn't going to fit what they wanted to do for a scheme, and his punting wasn't really as effective in the winds and the conditions.
I thought it was just more about
everything. I've got this from other, I think he struggled more, and it was mutual. I think he knew it just wasn't working for him here. And
I thought it was more about bringing in Eckler after
it was both, but they gave him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And Eckler was going to move to the rugby or the rollout.
And he's in McAllister. To be fair to McAllister's not a rugby punter.
No. Well, no, I mean, no American punters are. And I know the Coles kicking camp, they are starting to introduce that as part of their program.
I was going to say, why if you're an American kid, why wouldn't you want to learn it?
But the problem you're going to run into is the Australian guys. These are the top athletes in Australia, and they're playing the top sport, Australian rules football.
Yeah.
So
they got an advantage.
I mean, these are the linebackers in America playing this. I mean, they're not, in America, most kickers and punters are not Sam Foltz.
Right. They would have a, interesting. They have a distinct advantage. Well, I know Mike Eckler was excited about this Archie Wilson, and I would just say this, it's going well, but Rhule, Sean, Rhule did point out this is going to be his first football game, and it's going to be his first football game in front of, I don't know how many, 71,000 people or so under the lights at Arrowhead Stadium. If she's a freshman, you just got to kind of see how that goes, right? I mean, hopefully the kid will just understand, just go do your job like you're playing in front of 70 people. Easier said than done, but guys can do that. I mean, they can do that.
Yeah. The other thing,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I mean,
you can just make it so this is a football game. There just happens to be a lot of people watching.
But you get the sense that he's a pretty cool customer. I mean, to get up, and Rhule shared the story. He got up in front of the team at one of their talent show events, and he just gets on the piano and starts.
Oh, I didn't know he got on a piano.
Well, maybe he didn't get on the piano, but he sang Billy Joel's Piano Man.
Piano Man. Maybe he did. God, maybe he did get on the piano. Rhule didn't say that, but if he got on the piano and crushed it.
And that's one change of this camp. Like in year 1 or 2, a lot of those types of moments, Archie Wilson singing Piano Man would have been out. They've kind of kept, like the team went to Wilderness Ridge Golf Course and Pool. That would have been out on something. We haven't seen any of that stuff produced or put out this year, during camp.
Why?
I think he's just kind of keeping things more bottled up.
Yeah.
Kind of just not overdoing the off-season national championship thing, and just play ball. Don't worry about all the, but we saw them before. They did that TV show last year.
Right. Was that, let's just have a discussion a little bit. Is that maybe still trying to educate fans a little bit on the program, and maybe he feels like he doesn't need to do that in year 3?
I think there's a little bit of everything. Also, Jordan Litton, who was the guy behind all that, he left
for UCF.
He's married to Zach Duvall's daughter, so they went down there, and Jordan was out. I mean, he did a great job with those things. So it could be but I have no doubt whoever they replace could do that kind of work. I mean, they could hire a really talented person in that department. So I'm guessing some of it is they just want to keep a lid on things that are out there, and just worry about playing ball.
Rhule likes this team a lot. He sort of let down his guard, I'd say, a little. I mean, I looked at it that way when he said very late in the press conference on Saturday that he said this team doesn't ask him why they're doing things. He said last year's team, there are guys that would say, why are we doing this? I have a friend that plays somewhere else and they don't do this. So it was a bit of a revealing, it was a little revealing. It was interesting to me. And this team, he said, doesn't ask questions. They got guys like Dylan after practices saying, well, I want more. We want more. I want more plays. That's good. Dylan, the intangibles are through the roof good. Have I ever mentioned that?
Well, you're seeing these rosters everywhere in college football kind of turn away from the COVID era, which had like the older players. And I mean, Nebraska still has like Corcoran, who is a COVID guy that has a free COVID year, but not many left.
No.
Javen Wright, obviously, is one of them, but
Javen in his 7th year.
But the roster's full of the 23 and 24-year-olds.
Yeah.
Gramstad's one, but there was several, and every year this is kind
of. Oh, I see what you're saying.
This is kind of like the last of the year,
last batch
of the 6th and 7th year guys.
Yeah, the guys that literally are 23 years old.
But when you have a roster full of older players that are in the main roles, those I'd imagine are more of the guys that are
might say, why are we doing this?
And so, and you look at the roster now, a good majority of it are freshmen and sophomores. I mean, it's a high number of players on this roster that are freshmen and sophomores.
That's right.
I mean, 80, 90 guys. I mean, it's like 80 some guys, 90 some. I mean, it's ridiculous compared to the juniors and seniors of the 125. I mean, 70. I mean, so many of the players are older.
No. I mean, the injury news was Bly, Hill, and Gabe.
Yeah, and we'll get in that odds in it.
Oh, My bad.
All right. So, hey, thanks for preparing for the show. It's always great to have such a well-prepared partner that goes over
Watch your mouth.
that goes over the script.
Watch yourself. I mean, you can also vary from the script a little bit sometimes.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time in your American worker shirt.
God dang, this stuff is really coming in handy. Crani-Yum.
We get a little loose with the Crani-Yum. All right. Before we go to headline 4, HuskerOnline headlines brought to you by Omaha Steaks. And look, now is a great time. You're going down to Arrowhead Stadium. You're going to have all day to tailgate down there. You're going to need to load the cooler up with burgers, hot dogs. I mean, if you're big time, maybe steaks.
Yeah.
But you want to get all the great items to load up the tailgate, not just for Arrowhead, but those early Husker home opener games. And you're going to have a string of home games after Arrowhead where you want to load up the freezer, get a bunch of Omaha Steaks, hamburgers, hot dogs, steaks, chicken, whatever your favorite meats are. And we've got a great way to do it right now. You're going to get 50% off site-wide already at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners will get an extra $35 off with the promo code HuskerOnline at checkout. Again, visit omahasteaks.com. You'll get 50% off already on with their anniversary sale and things going on. Then we're going to give you an extra $35 off the already discounted price simply by using the promo code HuskerOnline. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code HuskerOnline. That will get you $35 off. I can see Sipple just getting hungry right now.
I mean, I know I am hungry, and that does make me hungry. I haven't had a good steak in, I don't know, 2 weeks.
Golden Steer.
Yeah, I'm going to say that was my last go round.
But these Omaha Steaks hamburgers have kind of gotten us through the summer. I mean, when we're in a real pinch, I'm able to throw those on the flat top.
Yeah, it takes about 10 minutes.
You don't have to thaw them out, which is nice. Like, you can just cook, put them on there, and they cook, and then there's actually more juiciness in the burger.
Oh, you don't thaw them?
You don't need to. I mean,
one time I asked you, and you told me to run it under hot water.
Oh, don't do that. I've been no. For like a steak, you need to thaw out, but not the hamburger. The hamburgers go right. You can just throw them right on.
You've been chastised for that?
Yeah,
my wife?
No, in the comments, you're not supposed to really do that.
Oh,
so don't make me look like an
idiot. Advice. I did it. They're still good.
It's a not recommended thawing method. So omahasteaks.com. Let's get into.
I love awkward, Sean. You know that.
You put me on the spot.
I love awkward. You know that.
All right. Let's get into headline 4, Mayhem Monday.
Jeez, are we on Mayhem Monday?
Frank Solich cleans house in 2002, and we were both
heavily
covering this heavily in 2002, and it was really a fairly monumental day in the program. Number one, because the team had just finished a 7-6 regular season, which, for them the year before they played for the national title in the Rose Bowl. But there had never been really drastic staff changes other than when Tom Osborne made some in the 70s. He kind of parted ways with a number of assistants like Monty Kiffin, not part ways, but those guys moved on.
Sure.
They didn't get fired, but they all kind of moved on and went their own way. There had never been anything like that after Osborne did that. And Solich kind of faced a tough call after the 7-6 year when Frank took over.
We'll call the 7-7 year.
The bowl game they lost after the coaches were fired, but 7-7 was the final record.
Okay.
The coaches were all removed before bowl game, but 6 assistant coaches of the 9 were removed. Only Turner Gill, Jeff Jamrog, and Ron Brown were retained and then there were multiple retirements and some straight out firings.
Yeah, Bull Craig got fired. George Darlington got fired. Nelson Barnes fired. Milt Teneper, the offensive line coach, and his assistant offensive line coach, Dan Young, they retired.
And then Dave Gillespie moved into an off-the-field role.
Reassigned. Yeah, so he was reassigned. And then the big hire, of course, was defensive coordinator. Well, also Frank, by the way, relinquished play calling duties, which was big. he had called plays for his entire head coaching tenure, and then said, "I'm going to hire an offensive
relinquished him after the bowl game."
Yes,
because what I remember too about the bowl game
God,
that month, yes,
okay.
I mean, who would have called the plays for the bowl game?
It's had to have been Frank, yeah,
unless Turner was involved. But
yeah,
after none of the hires, nothing was done in December. When you go back to that time, and we were over there, and it was a big deal when Frank let go of those coaches. And social media didn't exist.
Not really.
It did. No, it didn't.
It didn't
I mean,
at all.
The HuskerOnline message board was around, but
yeah,
smartphones didn't exist.
I think we had our website at the Journal.
Well, yeah, you had a website,
yeah,
but the ability to get it out to people, people weren't reading content on their phones yet. So like we were all over there anticipating something to happen on that Monday.
It was a Monday.
And it was cold, and we were outside waiting and waiting and waiting. And I remember even in the South Stadium, they had a really small lobby, and a bunch of us were just crammed in this lobby.
Yep. Now, we had reported in the Journal-Star that he was making these moves, but we still hadn't heard from Frank. So yeah, no, remember it was gigantic. He invited us up to South Stadium.
But then they told the TV camera guys they couldn't come up
to this meeting room.
Yeah, and so
that's right.
They wanted it to only be print.
Okay. Frank had his friend in there, Bob Sodden. Do you remember that? Bob Sodden.
And we were up in the coaches' team meeting room.
Yeah, team meeting room. It was just print. And yeah, Frank kind of walked us through everything.
It was really uneasy for him, though.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I remember more about it than the firings were the retirements. I think with Milton Dan, it wasn't easy. It wasn't. No, I know. No, I'm not saying I'm not going to play babe in the woods here. I know it wasn't easy.
Like George could have obviously gone that same direction, right? And retired.
George wanted to keep coaching.
And so he kind of went out guns a-blazing.
A little bit.
I mean,
not a little bit.
Like, it's like, I'm not retiring. You're going to have to fire me.
Yeah.
Because George had as many years coaching as the other
30.
And so
George had 30 years.
He chose to do it in a different way than
he went off to Louisiana Tech. Remember, he came. I don't know if it might have been Lafayette. Where the hell it was in Louisiana, but it was one of those places. And he came back here as an assistant coach when they played Nebraska. Do you remember? It was either Tech or Lafayette, I believe. Somebody in our comments is saying, "I go, you idiot! It was this Louisiana school. It was one of those Louisiana schools." But yeah, George wanted to keep coaching. I think. Now, I don't want to get into all that, but it was bowl. What had happened? Remember, in 2001, the Colorado thing happened, which meaning 62 happened.
And then the Miami game.
And then if you remember, like, for instance, Kansas State put 49 on them or something like that, 45.
On the road.
Yeah. Trouble.
When I remember.
Missouri put a big number on them.
And I'll give you a little.
Here, I got it right here. So hold on. Let's just 1 second. So in that 2002 season, Sean, we got to cover this a little bit. Remember, Penn State put 40 on them in 2002. Okay.
Penn State College, and it was one of the first night games at Penn State ever.
Yeah, it's bad. Okay.
Oklahoma State with Mike Gundy,
even
Les Miles.
Hold on a second. Iowa State put 36 on them. Okay, on Nebraska
with Seneca Wallace.
Yeah, Oklahoma State 24, not that bad. Texas put 27 on them, but then it was. I think the big one was Kansas State put 49 on.
So I can give you a little insight down the road. When Bull was coaching at North Dakota State, he took his Bison team into Manhattan, and Snyder was coaching, and he was not one to make big deals about things. But he told I had some friends that were coaches on that North Dakota State staff, and he told those guys, this one's personal to me. Because I think he still felt like Bill Snyder that day.
That 49.
When because they ran it up late. And I can still remember at the end of the game, like L. Robertson and Darren Sproles, all those starters were still in late.
Ooh.
And they were sticking touchdowns in late in the fourth quarter when the game was already out of hand. But he went in there then and beat Bill Snyder in Kansas State. And
with North Dakota State.
and that was a national championship North Dakota State team. And, that was a really big moment for him in his personal career, just to get that win over Kansas State in Manhattan after what Kansas State kind of threw his whole career away, or changed his whole career. Don't say he's obviously had a great career,
right?
But like changed his career at Nebraska.
Changed his career. What happened was, and I've talked to Craig. I talked to Craig at length about this stuff. So he took over in '99 after the '99 season when Charlie retired as Nebraska's defensive coordinator, and the position really didn't take with him. He said that he was always felt kind of overwhelmed. He was so involved in X's and O's practice preparation that he said he'd walk by guys on his defense and not even say hi because his mind was always going. And he was an example of a guy who was better off as a head coach than a coordinator. I mean, he found more of a kind of a groove as a head coach. He never really found it as a defensive coordinator. Didn't work. So that worked out well for him. And then what happened? The Bo Pelini.
So a side piece of that too was Bill Byrne. Also just on like that same moment in time, Bill Byrne was rumored to go to A&M
after the 2002 season.
And while we were outside in the parking lot, we followed Bill Byrne out to his car to try to get a comment from him about what Frank was doing to his staff. And he just kind of said, "Hey guys, I don't ever talk about assistant coaches. That the head coach is in charge." But then days later, he left for A&M.
Yeah, he later gave just a very canned quote that I'm just supportive of Frank and what he decided to do. I don't think we knew. Did we know he was on the move? I don't think I did.
It came together, at that
point. I think it came together right
like
after
a week later.
Yeah.
But then Frank goes to coach the Independence Bowl in Shreveport, one of Steve Sipple's favorite cities in America.
Well, it's one of my favorite bowl games for sure.
Anyway, Steve Peterson gets hired days before the Independence Bowl from Pittsburgh. And Peterson's first real appearance as the Nebraska AD was the Independence Bowl. Not a real good first impression, obviously. And Frank had not even really moved on making the hires yet, because none of the hires came until the interviews took place in New Orleans at the AFCA convention, which is in January. And you were there.
I was. Now, again, my recollection is I know this happened. He hired Bo. Bo Pelini's hire was finalized when they're in Shreveport, because I interviewed Bo from a hotel room in Shreveport. So he nailed down Bo, and then went to the convention and hired the rest of the staff. And I was there, and I was in the lobby. I mean, Frank will verify this. He wouldn't even come down to the lobby because he knew I was there. Like, he would send down Brendan Bussman and see if is Sipple down there. And when I was down there the whole time,
you were a pain in the ass back then.
I was a total pain in the ass, but we were calm. Then I had a source, I'm going to never give it up, who was just telling me everything that was going on. He just said, this is what he's doing. And then I got to tell you a story. I don't think I've ever even told you this. So we reported it all in the Journal-Star. But the day I was leaving New Orleans, Dave Gillespie called me on my cell phone and said, "Hey, congratulations. You got it 75% right." And I fell to my knees. I was so upset. I was like, what are you talking? And I kind of, I was shouted some expletives at him, and he goes, "I'm just kidding. You did fine. You got it 95%."
Because you, at that point, you reported Barney Cotton, Marvin Sanders. I'm trying to think who the other, Jimmy Williams.
You got it.
Would have been another off the radar name at that point.
Yeah, you got him. Those are the guys mostly. There's probably Barney is the OC.
Yeah.
But I can't remember all the guys right now, but Barney was down there in New Orleans. I talked to Barney. So I can't remember all the guys he hired.
I'm now blanking. Who was the D line coach for that team? Bo was the D coordinator. Jimmy Williams was a linebackers coach. Nelson Barnes was removed. I'm trying to remember. Who did they? How do I not? Jamrock
stayed.
Jamrock moved to D-line.
Yeah, he was retained. He was coaching D-line.
3 people retained in position coach roles.
Yeah, he was. Jamrock was retained. So, but yeah, it was mayhem. I mean, that was for Nebraska at that time. That amount of change, Sean. Remember, you were covering it. That's mayhem. It was total mayhem.
Well, and then Peterson, before he really even got going on the job, kind of knew he wanted to make a move on Frank, and the assistant coaches were told that they would get standard contracts.
So this was the summer before the 03. Yeah.
And coaches everywhere get like a 2-year contract. So you coach 1 year with a year over the top of that for kind of security, because the industry is so volatile for coaches. They get their updated contracts from Peterson, and they said in the contract, essentially, to quote Barney Cotton, like, if there was a change in head coach of any kind, we would essentially be done. Like
the day that it happened, that's what it said. I'm reading your book right now. This is addressed in your book on Nebraska, A Curated History of the Cornhuskers. This was Marvin talking. He said it was our contracts would have ended. This is Marvin. Our contracts would have ended the day that Frank failed to occupy the position of a head coach for any reason. Now what I reported back then was that, but they boycotted. We didn't know it. We didn't find out till after the season that the coaches in August boycotted a day or two of camp. I don't know how long the boycott was, but they left. We didn't know it, but the coaches left because Peterson slid those contracts in a very Steve Peterson-like snake move. He didn't tell them. He just slid the contracts under their door. And the guy that raised holy hell was Jimmy Williams. In fact, the story that I did for the Journal-Star was Jimmy Williams talking to me. Jimmy didn't give a damn. I mean, he just said, no, this is what happened, Sipple. I'd never talked to Jimmy Williams in my life.
Yeah, you wonder if Peterson hoped that maybe some of these guys just didn't read it and that they would just sign it. Like, because that era of college,
he took it down to 1 year, Sean.
That yeah, you would look at your contract with that era of college football. You didn't have agents as necessary. You didn't have you probably didn't have as attorneys as involved because the deals were standard. You didn't really need. You kind of knew what the deal was.
You know, this conversation has evolved to a point where we didn't really get to the pure mayhem till right now. I think the pure mayhem was in August that year, either right before camp or the early stages of camp, when there was a boycott. There's a legitimate coaches boycott. They said, no, we're not doing this.
And it never got out.
Never got out.
Oh, and Tim Albin was
no, wait a second. It got out, but it was like in the winter, December or January.
After it all.
Yeah.
Tim Albin, by the way, was one of the other hires.
Okay. Yeah.
Running backs coach.
100. So it was, now covering that team back then was not easy. It was because of, think about what had happened in, after the 2002 season, going to New Orleans in early January, Peterson getting hired, those coaches knowing in 03, Marvin's quoted in your book is saying when they got that contract in the summer of 03, that revised contract, he said we knew we had to win a championship.
And then they came out and played really well.
They beat Oklahoma State 17-7, right? With Bo, as you detailed in your book. Very interesting. I hadn't even thought about it the way you detailed it, but he ran a Tampa 2, messed up Gundy's offense at Oklahoma State. It was Les Miles, the head coach. Gundy was calling the plays. They got 53 yards in the second half.
They didn't know what Nebraska was going to do, and it looked, you could tell watching it. Like, they were like deer in the headlights because Bo they studied the wrong film.
Right. Yeah.
They studied
Ed Donatel's defense.
They studied the Green Bay Packers.
That's Ed Donatel.
And Bo shifted essentially into the Monty Kiffin look.
Yeah.
And they just didn't have all their homework on Bo. They didn't know that he would do the Pete Carroll, Monty Kiffin defense.
Remember Bo had DeMario Williams?
And they created that new role for him.
Yep.
Well, and your linebackers were Hollowell, Barrett Rude.
Ooh.
And
and DeMario Williams. Yeah, kind of.
Lanny Hopkins.
Playing a hybrid. Lanny Hopkins. Hopkins could play. Now, he was hurt a lot.
We had Barney Cotton details on that last Frank team. I think there were 17 draft picks on the team.
Oh, God.
Not like 1 year, but over the like the totality of the roster. I mean, and he still gets mad to this day when people say Frank couldn't recruit. because that was his 6th year.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like those were TO players left over. I mean, he was.
Yeah, the only thing I've taken Frank to task on a little bit is the O-line recruiting.
And I would also say the quarterback plan after Crouch. Lord was a good athlete.
Yeah.
Like, I covered recruiting back then pretty extensively, obviously, and they could have got like Seneca Wallace. I mean, they could have got somebody like that.
When did Dukes come in?
Dukes came in 2002.
Trouble.
Yeah, the 2002
trouble.
Well, then the year before, they signed Mike McLaughlin and Mike Stuntz as quarterbacks. I mean, so they just kind of really struck out. And Carlisle Holiday actually would have probably been the successor to Crouch.
He was
not Carlisle Holiday, the baseball player, the one that went.
Oh, don't do this.
Carl Crawford.
Carl Crawford.
So if it all would have actually worked out,
yeah,
it would have gone Crouch to Carl Crawford.
And that might have been good.
Yeah. And then, Carlisle Holiday was they wanted him bad.
Yeah.
And they missed him to Notre Dame.
That's right. So 03, just to wrap this up, total tumult. And I always frame this up as this, like we're talking about them beating Oklahoma State. Can you imagine like Steve Peterson standing there hoping they lose? That's what was going on. Now, and people are going to be like, oh, come on, Sipple. That happens. It happens in college football and other places. It does. ADs come to a school intending to fire the head coach. They have to go through a season and kind of hope that the team loses. So can you imagine Peterson standing there watching Nebraska beat Oklahoma State, getting to 5-6-0, and then sort of breathing a sigh of relief when Missouri beats them 41-24, and then breathing a sigh of relief when Kansas State wins 38-7 and Bo charges out on the field, right? To greet. Isn't that when he went after Snyder a little
lost
bit?
To Kansas State.
Yeah, 38-7. Well, that's what I mean. No, I'm saying Steve Pearson's breathing a sigh of relief that they lose. He's happy they lose. It's got to make it easier to fire Frank.
Then they beat Colorado though, and
what was Steve's face like? Well, I don't remember Steve. I remember his lieutenants, and their faces were ashen after the Colorado game. When we went down for interviews, I'm standing there with Mike Babcock going, God, did Frank just save his job? Then I see, I'm not going to name them, but I see some of Steve's lieutenants, and they got sick looks on their faces. And I said to Babcock, he didn't save his job. He's done. He's done.
And
look at his face.
Well, in your newspaper, and you weren't involved in this reporting because it was done on the news side, they broke the news and the week before.
Kind of, yeah.
And
sources, and it turned out to be a shoddy source, but it was good. They got it right.
But
yeah,
that created a freak show.
Yeah, it did.
Remember going over to practice? Oh, Scott Downing was another coach. We mentioned him.
Yeah. Downing was one of the hires.
And we went over to practice for Colorado week. And I remember it's like, I'm going to paraphrase, but we were like, how you doing, coach, to Downing? And he's like, basically, how the hell do you think I'm doing?
Rough. It was rough. It was rough stuff. It was horrifying to cover.
They had to go 2 weeks.
Yeah. Essentially
not knowing. And then with the newspaper report out there, and there was no acknowledgement of the report.
No.
By the university, obviously.
I don't think so. I can't remember all that. I didn't take that report that seriously myself.
Yeah, it's crazy that you were the main Husker guy and you had zero
to do with it.
Like it was done at like kind of a news level.
Yeah, it was. And I obviously I didn't take it very seriously because I thought he saved his job.
Because you're a common sense person.
Yeah. So
it was, it ended up being a right report, obviously.
But it's like one of those things, you had 50-50 shot, so easy to fire. It wasn't.
It was easy to know that Peterson and Frank didn't get along.
Oh God, yes. That year, I was talking to Frank a lot. Oh, he told me one time, he wouldn't mind me saying this. He came across Steve in the locker room, and Peterson didn't even say hi. He didn't even say hi. Like Frank was like, yeah, we're not. This isn't good. He knew. They knew.
The other thing in that
they knew,
book,
but but if you win 10, you think, well, maybe we did enough.
The other thing in the book Osborne told me about the firing of Frank, he was never clued in on any of it.
He was out of
the country.
He's out of the country.
And I think
that was awkward too.
He was informed like through voicemail.
Yeah. It was awkward. Trust me. When I tell you it's awkward, it was awkward, baby. Ooh, with Frank, it was awkward.
And T.O. said, he's like, Steve was a great idea, man. Did a lot of good things for us, but he goes, he never was a football guy.
So then we're really going long on Mayhem Monday, but then think about it. You had Bo Pelini there, and Bo Pelini became kind of a phenomenon. And they go and win the Alamo Bowl, and the crowd's chanting, we want Bo, right?
Oh, yeah.
But Peterson never was going to hire Bo Pelini. Bo never got a shot. And trust me, Bo never got a shot
They
at that
gave
job.
him that kind of courtesy interview, but it was a joke, right?
Joke. Total joke.
Because Turner got
Bo knew it was a joke.
And Turner got one too, right?
Yeah, joke. He wasn't going to hire those guys, and they knew it. Well, I don't know about Turner, but I know Bo was like, no.
I remember Bo had a suit on.
Yeah.
When he had what he thought was going to be his interview, but then you saw him storming out of the building with boxes. He was like, I mean, that was it.
Yeah, he wasn't. Then it was, remember, did we do a Mayhem Monday on the 41-day search? We could.
Oh, yeah, we've done that. My favorite thing about the Alamo Bowl, they used to do these like day after press conferences.
Yeah.
So like the game ended late at midnight.
And
then at like 9 a.m, we got Bo again. And so
I can't remember that.
And it was in the hotel, and they did like a press conference. And just thinking about like, he pretty much knew he wasn't going to get the job probably. And then he gets another opportunity to talk. Mayhem.
Sean, I forgot what mayhem, all that. That was a lot of mayhem.
Woo! I heard they threw a huge party like after the game in the hotel, and they room charged like a bunch. And somebody told me this story, one of the players, and Peterson marched in there, and I think he addressed Bo. He's like, "What's this?" And Bo just goes, "I don't know, Steve, you take care of it." And then just walked away.
Oh, that sounds like Bo. Oh, that's beautiful.
Well,
mayhem.
they threw a party.
That's mayhem.
They won them out. They won the Alamo Bowl.
They were good in that game. I think Michigan State scored 3, right?
They charged it all to the traveling party.
Mayhem.
I don't know, Steve. You take care of it.
It's beautiful.
All right.
Well, not better times, but
fun times to relive.
Yeah.
Not maybe fun, but just
kind of, yeah. Tense though. There's a lot of tension. That's what it was.
It's like we covered like the Russian Revolution in that era.
Tense.
I mean, there was a lot of there's still, I mean, we deal with it to an extent now, but a lot of
not like it was then. Hey, Sean.
All right.
Not like it was then.
Let's take it to the final headline 5, odds and ends, before we get into odds and ends. That was a long mayhem.
That's okay.
We'll go quick.
I just snorted.
Ends, but reminder, Husker at the K. If you still want to get tickets, we have some available still with the Royals. On the show bio page here, are also pinned on the HuskerOnline Red Sea Scrolls message board. You can find the direct link here on the show description page that will take you to the discounted tickets and the discounted parking. And then you have the ability, if you want the windbreaker, you can opt in and add the windbreaker. It's an additional charge. It comes in sizes medium or extra large. And you get it on a first come, first serve basis as far as the sizing goes. But if you do opt into the windbreaker, you are guaranteed to get one. And it's a special gift for Nebraska fans. August 29th, the night after the Huskers play Cincinnati, the Royals will play the Tigers in Husker Night at the K. Hope to see you all there. Still time to get in. We've sold well over 500 tickets now.
Nice. Good.
Out of just this group alone here. And there's going to be many more Husker fans there on top of what we've done in our promotional efforts.
If Nebraska beats Cincy, they'll be go big red chance, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if they beat Cincy, I mean, Coffin Stadium is going to be a blast on Friday. Everyone's going to be in a great mood.
Yep. Can't get here quickly.
All right.
Though.
Odds and ends as we close the show. I mentioned the injured players. You had the Gage Stenger, more of a special teams number 2 linebacker.
Backup.
Suffered a knee injury. Bly Hill re-injured his patella that he injured the previous year. So it is notable to me that Bly Hill re-injured the same knee. Demetrius Bell still is trying to recover from the knee he injured from that same spring. And then you have Mac Markway, who re-injured his knee again, the same one. So 3 of the 4 things going on right now with knees are pre-existing stuff that guys had before this year.
Bly Hill, I mean, remember Bly Hill at one point was regarded as a starter. Now it was last spring, right? When he went down, that was last spring when he went down with his knee injury. Yeah. Remember, he was
Yeah, so Bly Hill and Demetrius Bell both went down in the red-white game.
Bly Hill was a number 1 corner. He was on the first string.
And that was before Sierra Wright was even
around. Yeah.
Wasn't even here yet. Didn't commit yet even at that point.
Right. They needed to go get him. Right.
Well, it just worked out. I mean, Sierra Wright, they got very fortunate how that worked out.
That's right.
They were able to get him, and it was a surprise June visitor that no one even knew was coming.
Right. So that worked out. Was that? But you're suggesting that wasn't cause and effect. They didn't go get him because
it might have been a true. I mean, at that point, they felt like Tommy Hill was a first rounder, and like they had Tommy Hill,
they had Bly Hill,
and they had Bly Hill, and then they had to get somebody else to kind of compete, because if it wasn't Sierra Wright, it was going to be like Marquise Buford playing corner. Well, he did. That's how the year started out. If you remember, Hartstog and Buford could play corner. Mm-hmm. Sierra Wright did not come in and immediately start.
Right. Then he took over.
It took about the Illinois game where you really saw. I mean, he made some huge plays in the Illinois game.
That's right. That's how that worked out.
So,
but Bly Hill, I mean, I feel for him. I feel for Sting. I feel for anybody, Sting or whoever. But Hill was a number 1 corner at one point. People forget that. The other thing about Bly Hill, if you see him, it's kind of crazy. He's so tall. He's 6'4" corner.
And Bly's dad is the former ACC Player of the Year on defense. He had like a 10, 13-year NFL career. So he comes from a very good football pedigree. You just hope he can get back. He was very promising. QBs, I think the pecking order is starting to really take form. Obviously, Dylan, Gramstad, by just sure knowledge and veteran leadership, he's probably year 2. But, man, T.J. Lateef has really kind of solidified in that 3 spot.
Seems like it. It definitely seems like it. Revealing that Rhule says that Dylan has kind of taken Lateef under his wing. Beautiful. I love that visual. Not that Dylan has literal wings, but you know what I'm saying. I like that Dylan is showing that sort of attention to Lateef, because Lateef, we both agree, the talent is pretty obvious. Rhule talked about his temperament. He doesn't get shook up. I've noticed that about him too. Lateef has a very even temperament. So I like that. I like that picture. I just wonder if could he take over number 2?
It just depends. I mean, I think, do you work it out where he just plays 4 games this year if he plays?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I think you can't. It's just dangerous to guess these things.
I'm not going.
But I do think Gramstad taking him a year ago really paid off. He's a free player,
right?
You're not paying for him, and he's helping you as you kind of build this younger version of your room behind Dylan.
Yep.
Jamar Mosey. We mentioned Isaiah Mosey, but Matt Rhule really praised Jamar Mosey.
Jamar Mosey, the dad, the coach,
and he's an assistant coach, former high school coach, will make his Kansas City homecoming.
Yeah, there's a lot of to that conversation. Jamar Mosey has helped recruiting in the Kansas City, St. Louis area, right? Because he's a Kansas City guy. Rhule said he's an example of a guy that Mosey talked to the players, to the team, and Rhule said, "Do you think this guy could be a head coach someday?" And the players were unified in saying yes. So Mosey seems like a coach on the rise, Jamar. And his son's a player on the rise. His son got work with the second team. Mosey got work with the second team offense on Saturday. Rhule threw him in there. So he must be playing pretty well.
And if there ever, in my opinion, if there ever was like more movement on the staff, like a position coaching opens on offense that made sense, it wouldn't shock me at all if Mosey elevated into that. Like, I think he is like the next man up. He's already an assistant, but to a higher level in terms of.
Yeah, definitely could see that especially after what Matt said about him.
All right. Other odds and ends as we move through fall camp here. It is the final week of traditional camp. Another scrimmage we mentioned, 6 days of practice this week, Monday through Saturday. My guess is maybe we'll get single-digit numbers by the end of the week. I don't know that, but
Never anything that's too interesting to me. Just saying. Yeah. I don't understand that whole thing. Are they doing that?
I
think
would
they're still
imagine
doing
they
that?
are. But again, I think year 3 of this now.
I don't know if you do it. Yeah.
People aren't like too. I don't think it's like as big of a deal. It's going to be really obvious. You're going to know who the guys are. They're going to get.
Doesn't that seem like a coach early in his tenure type thing?
But he'll still do it though. I think.
You think so?
Nobody asked him that Saturday though.
Nope.
So we don't know.
Nope. And I'm not. Hey, listen, I don't lay awake at night thinking about it. It's just not. I don't regard it as a huge story. Ooh, I'm going to get pushed back on that.
I'm more interested though. Would Dylan, remove his 15, which has kind of become his marketed number?
Well, that's a good example of why I don't really.
And would he switch to like number 1 or number 7 or a different number?
Like Robin has said, when Jamari Butler gave his back, that's when.
One Shavers is still wearing the single digit.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a thing. It's fine. I don't rush to the computer to send it out. You see what I'm saying?
I wonder if we'll even get a depth chart before Cincinnati.
Depth chart. I don't think the coaches pay that close attention to it. I think there's a staffer that probably puts it out and says to Rhule, how's this look? That looks fine. That type
more
of
an
thing.
ore chart. You get a lot of like an early depth chart. You might have more ores.
Now, here's what I wouldn't picture if I was you. Rhule slumped at his desk, detailing out a depth chart for the media. That's not happening.
Now, there was a time in our era of doing this job.
That might have been the case.
Like where Frank or Osborne,
yeah,
they would put together a true depth chart.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday we'd get it. Remember?
Yeah.
That's not the case.
I don't think so. Now watch Rhule come out in his next press conference. I've been laboring over this depth chart, but I don't think so.
All right. Well,
we know who's playing.
Yeah, it's not really too big. I mean, you can name every star. I mean, I think it's just a matter like how do you do the linebackers? Like who would start with Marquise Watson, Trent, Vincent Shavers, Javen Wright? Or would you just throw an or between a group of those guys?
But yeah. Yeah, and the reason I don't get there's a lot of reasons I don't get wound up on it, but they move guys around a lot. He mentioned like the jack position where you have DeSamacola and McGahee, but both could be on the field at the same time, so
and they can play 4-man and they play 3-man. I mean, yeah, the defensive depth chart would be complicated.
Right. He said you can put 5 down, he can put 4 down linemen out there. So yeah, I don't, Sean. I'm trying to think of a position where it would really behoove you to have one. I can't even really think of one off the top of my head, except those tackle positions.
Like how do you do tight end with Lindenmeyer and Harburg? Is Lindenmeyer outright one?
I don't know how you do that.
Or do you put an or on tight end? I mean, those are like, nobody probably cares about that but me.
Carter Nelson, what do you do?
I'm probably the only person in the state that just had that thought.
Like if Carter Nelson's listed third, does that mean, what's that mean? I mean, he's going to play. That's where I'm coming from.
Kicker.
Yeah. Kicker's one. Yeah.
And left tackle.
Yeah. And right tackle.
Those are probably the biggest ones, but all right. Plenty to keep up on. We'll be back with regular show scheduled this week, Wednesday, Friday. Thanks for starting your week here on Husker Online. For Steve Sipple, I'm Sean Callahan signing off for Husker Online Headlines.